Is this you? When you put together a presentation, you find it hard to find a starting point, or you need a surefire way to write compelling content. Or you've written lots of presentations in the past, but feel a little bored with your approach. Welcome to the first of 2 videos designed to share top tips on presenting. In this first video, I'm focusing on banishing the blank. You know that feeling of a blank mind and a blank screen as you prepare to write your presentation. The second video is called Stand and Deliver Your Best Presentation Ever, and I'm making that to share how to increase your delivery impact and gravitas. So let's get started with first things first, and that's to actually question whether to present or not. So let's get that fundamental question out of the way. What's the point of your presentation? Is it to inform only or to start a discussion? Maybe it's to provide data for a decision. Or do you actually want to move people to action? If the purpose of your presentation is to inform only, then you have to ask yourself, is that actually the best way of doing it? Generally, when presenting, you'll want to inspire people to take action through delivering a compelling message that plugs into how individuals like to be influenced. If that's the reason behind your presentation, go for it. But if your presentation is to inform only, then think through cost-benefit impact. Would a well-written and illustrated paper inform and move your audience better? Okay, so you've decided you are going to present, and it's going to be a fabulous one. So let's go with some top tips on how you might do that. Because a blank piece of paper can be a daunting place to start, think about the end of the race. Think about the end in mind. See yourself having delivered a more successful presentation than you could have hoped for. Because by thinking through the end, i.e. what you really want to achieve, it will enable you to set clear outcomes for your presentation. So here's some useful questions to get you going with that. If I deliver a great presentation, what will happen next? How will I know? What are my success measures? What do I want my audience to think, feel, or do? Actually, how do I want to feel? What are the 3 top messages I want my audience to leave with? What do I want my audience to do? What is my call to action going to be? Now, getting this type of thinking established will enable you to write a very clear presentation and to begin with a very clear objective. Now, a clear objective for a presentation might sound something like this. By the end of my presentation, my audience will. Now, of course, you fill in the gaps. And you need to make it smart. And it needs to have that smart measure in it. So here's an example for a presentation I'll be giving soon. By the end of my presentation, my audience will be ready to donate to or volunteer to help launch our new social enterprise. So once you've got that clear objective, here's some ideas for a fast preparation technique. So we're clear on the objective. How can we move into a fast preparation phase? So to get going, you're going to need some large wall space or whiteboard space. You'll be using post-its and sticking up paper. And actually many people find getting away from the PC and standing, getting a bit of energy flowing helps with getting creative. So the process works like this. Write up and display your key objective and keep it in your line of sight. Because you need to keep your thinking flowing around that objective. Then you're going to punch out your ideas on post-its. And I like this bit. Get a pack of post-its and without evaluating, write all your ideas one by one on single post-its, one idea per post-it, and stick them up in no particular order. At this stage, it's quantity, not quality. You're not evaluating your ideas, so you should be able to get into a constant stream of thinking. And when you're in this ideas flow, this is the time you're likely to get a spark of inspiration. And it's actually worth knowing that emptying your mind of tried and tested thoughts leaves space for new ones to develop. It's all part of the creative thinking process. So this idea generation, being like a Roman candle firework, is similar because when you light the firework, often we think it's a dud because nothing happens. Then a few balls of colour fall into the light and you think, is that it? Then a sparkle crescendo happens, and that's pretty cool. Then just about when you're ready to turn away because you think that's about it, a stunning sparkle sizzles the night sky. And it's the same with ideas. The first that are generated are familiar thinking. Then you start to get into your flow and have some maybe less obvious ideas. And then once you've downloaded what's in your conscious brain, just when you're least expecting it, your nugget of an idea comes forward into your consciousness. So you've got all of these ideas and now we need to do something with them. So we move to the next stage, which is must, should, could. So get yourself a large piece of paper, draw 3 rings, and title them must in the centre, should in the next ring, and could in the outer ring. Take your mass of post-its and sort them into the rings, looking at how their inclusion will support your end objective. The musts must of course be included, and the shoulds would be nice to have if there's time. Let go of the coulds, even if you feel you're murdering your little darlings. So we've got our must, shoulds, coulds, we've sorted them into musts, so now we need to sequence them and think about beginning, middle and end of your presentation. And you know that lovely old saying, tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. So when it comes to designing your presentation, allow about 5% of the overall time to the opening part of your presentation. And your opening is going to include the objective, the WFM factor, that stands for what's in it for me, and a possible indication of the change that you're going to make or ask them to make. When I'm designing my presentations, I like to start with familiar facts and move my audience from the known to the unknown. And you are going to need a hook. So the hook is that compelling statement that comes right at the beginning of the presentation. It needs to be relevant to the actual material you're going to cover. It needs to be compelling, startling, perhaps a little known fact, or maybe something topical or funny. Or actually, it could be a fabulous visual. Think of it as a verbal icebreaker. Think of it as something designed to pique curiosity. So now you're ready to move into the main body of the report and you're going to build a great body. So think about how many points from your must section will truly support your presentation intentions. More than 5 or 6 messages may get lost. So grab the must from the target information you've prepared earlier and think about the sequencing of the ideas. Remembering meta programs, so we work from general to particular or concept to detail. Ask yourself whether the main points you've designed lend themselves to this sort of sequencing. Then for each of the points, ask what the compelling point of interest is. What do you want your audience to think and feel? So now we're coming to the last part of the presentation, the end, and you need to end with a bang. You've written a compelling presentation and the challenge is how to finish on a high. We've all watched presentations that seem to fizzle out on a low, so let's not fall into that trap with yours. Here's where you tell them what you told them. Ask yourself, how can I keep the pace up and the audience move to action? How am I going to make it easy for that audience to take that action? What are my next steps? How do I spell out what the next steps are for the audience? So you've done all of this, you're ending on a high, and now you're going to move into the question session. So in your design preparation, question for questions is a key part of your presentation preparation because you need to rehearse what might come up at question stage and how you're going to answer it. So go back to who your audience are, put their shoes on and generate the questions they are likely to ask. Then decide whether you should put the answers to the most likely questions into your presentation or whether the points land more strongly if handled at the question stage. Actually, it's this part of the preparation and planning that can benefit from bringing a friend in to help you generate the questions and to give you feedback on your planned answers. Now, I'm a graphic facilitator, so of course I want you to prepare to get graphical. So if you want to move your presentations from to wow, then how about some vibrant hand-drawn visuals? Picture the scene. Instead of a PowerPoint presentation, your whole presentation story visuals are drawn out on large-scale paper, live as you deliver. This is a true wow for your audience who'll love to see you as the presenter have your content come to life. And actually this is an example of one that I did at a live presentation. And when it comes to the question and answer segment, the audience will be delighted to see their contributions captured. So for those special presentations where you want to increase your impact and the retention of your key points, I will be delighted to explore with you how to do that.